Good morning and welcome to the Short Vol Show Live. My name is David Lincoln and I've been off the air for a couple days, but it's great to be back here. Like many people, I thought it was the end of the world when Game of Thrones went off the air and I didn't know what, if life could actually go on or what I was going to do. I couldn't take it, but fortunately, some new TV has come out, and we've got The Handmaid's Tale back on, which is very exciting. I don't know if you've checked it out yet. The Handmaid's Tale is a very important show. It is upsetting to a lot of people. Like, have you had kids or thought about having kids? Then this show might be upsetting to you in certain ways, or it's going to bring up issues. Women's rights and place in society. This show will bring up issues. It talks about fundamentalism and whatnot. And like I said, it's an important show. It can be tough to watch at times. And it's very upsetting that some newspaper review came out and said, oh, it's boring this season, and then nobody watches it. Think for yourself. Watch stuff for yourself. Don't let some guy in a newspaper turn you off. The other great show that is back on, Big Little Lies, guilty pleasure, and fun to watch that one. A lot of times I see myself as a teacher teaching people about the VIX and options trading, and but sometimes I don't really understand why I do stuff, and this was one of those times this week where I actually switched out of my VIX position and jumped into an equity, trading an equity, and I will get to that in just a second. But first, let's take a look at the VIX, what's going on right now. The VIX has been very firm around the 16 level and hasn't backed off of there. UVXY staying in this small, tight spot between 34 and 35. As we look at VIX Central here, you're going to see a... and let me get out of the way of the screen for a second, but you're going to see that we are in a decent amount of contango. However, when we look at the chart here, you're going to notice that there is not a lot of room between the futures and the spot price. Now, there's only right now a little over 25 cents between spot and the front month future. And yes, 4.4% is a healthy amount of contango, and that in the long term is going to be key. Every day when this is rebalanced with 4.4% contango, it's going to push these futures up and away from spot, the average price. As we go from the first month to the second month future, it's going to push them away from spot, and that is ultimately good. As I pull out my little snipping tool here, I've illustrated this area on the curve between the futures and spot is our potential here for a down move in the futures to make money. As time goes by, it's hard to illustrate kind of like what's happening in time, but we're moving out that way and these futures are moving down. But at the same time, we're rebalancing upward on the curve here. And so that creates sort of an engine as we rebalance upward, time goes out, and these futures are pulled down towards spot. It creates this sort of circular engine which powers our P&L when we're short volatility. However, even though we've got a pretty good number in contango here, there is not much room between these futures. Typically at this time in the cycle, you might have like a buck between the futures and spot. Right now, only 25 cents. So that is a bit of a bummer for shorting this. And in the short term, things have remained pretty firm. When we look at our number here in the VVIX, it's pretty low, 86, right? But the VIX staying firm around 16. Now, if we going back to like 2017, getting a VIX above like 14.5, it would immediately revert back down to 10. It couldn't sustain 14.5 for more than like a couple hours. But things have changed so much now. A VIX of 16, people seem comfortable holding a future that's trading above 16. If we look The first 2-month futures below 17, the rest above 17, and people feel comfortable holding those futures. They're not trying to get out of them and forcing this VIX lower. So, it's a different world, like I said, and this is a more normal world in that the average VIX over the last, 20 years or whatever, pretty much as long as the VIX has been around, is closer to 20 than 10. But it is something different compared with the last couple of years, seeing a VIX sustained over 16 or around 16 here. I know when we watch those, like Mark Sebastian interview, he was talking about like zone 1, which was like VIX around 12.5, 13, where nothing's kind of going on. Well, not a whole lot's going on in the market right now. E-minis up 8, down 8, that sort of thing, and we are sustaining a 16 in the VIX. So this looks to be the new normal. Now, I want to talk about the pivot I made a couple days ago. I did switch out of my VIX position completely to trade this Beyond Meat thing. And, I go to the supermarket. I'm a big carnivore. I go to the supermarket to see what the latest deal is on like hamburger or steak. And I always see these Beyond Meat products in with the real meat. And it grosses me out. I never liked veggie burgers back in the day, and I don't like this stuff either. But beyond my personal preferences, this stock made a big rip up, and I know I'm not the only one that sort of compared this to a Tilray rip up, and I feel that the market psychology, with so many people comparing this to a Tilray, would be for them to fade this big up move. And so I did short this by selling sort of at the money call spreads around the 170 area a couple days ago, and things did work out for my position, and we did get a like $35, $37 down move the day after I shorted it, which was great. It's funny, I talked to non-market people. I'm like, yeah, I shorted this and it went down, and just saying I shorted something and it went down like goes over 90% of the public's head. They're like, wait, so you didn't own something, so how are you able to sell it? And we get into this whole like confusion over shorting stuff. And finally, when I explain it to them, that I finally am able to explain like what shorting something is, I say, well, in all actuality, I didn't actually short it. I just bought put spreads and sold call spreads. And that's a whole nother area of confusion for my friends. But anyways, I can just say I didn't like the price of the stock and it went down. So I covered down here around the 130s area by selling out of the money spreads to turn this into a big condor. And then, so I was kind of flat, but then I reestablished a short right around this 136 level yesterday, and it just went ahead and kind of ripped my head off because I got the rally from this, like I said, mid 130s level. We got the rally all the way up to 150 yesterday, which made me give back a lot of what I made on the initial short. But I am still short this. I stayed shorted overnight quite a bit, and we are lower today ahead of the opening, so that's good news. Like I said, once again, it's hard for me to put into words why I jumped off of my UVXY position and jumped into trading an equity in such an aggressive way. But sometimes when sort of opportunity comes, I just intuitively jumped in. And I mean, it's good I did because I made money, but I don't know if it's necessarily an example to follow to be so skittish. And I like to teach people to kind of make a plan and then execute that plan. And I didn't really even follow my own advice this time because I just completely bailed on UVXY and went off and committed my capital to this risky equity play. And like I said, it has worked out so far. We'll see where we open today, but it is indicated down several dollars from where we closed yesterday, and I was quite short overnight. So that's good there. My specific position is I am short the second week out, July 130, 140 call spread a bunch of times. So I'm short a bunch of the 130, 140 call spread. So we'd love to see this open at $100. But it is off the lows of a few of like an hour ago. It was down to like 132 or something now. So we'll have to see where it opens. The pre-market doesn't necessarily represent things. It could rally back up to like 160 right now, but if we do open here, I will cover part of my short and coming in short in this one. I'm interested to see what you guys are up to. This show is not about me. It's about you guys. I try to give you my reasoning on some of my own trades, but this is more about teaching about the VIX and that sort of thing. And the VIX right now hanging out steady around 16. However, with 4% contango, you still will make money by staying short either the UVXY or TVIX because the stuff is decaying. With 4% contango, if we do the math, if we do 0.04 times 35, we get $1.40. So this is UVXY decaying currently by $1.40 a day, a month. So it's definitely decaying. And you know, the way to make money on that is to stay short it, stay the course, and you will get excellent returns over time. And you know, as soon as I'm finished with this little equity play, I probably will commit the capital from this account back into UVXY. Again, it would be great if we got a pop in UVXY in the mid-time, so I could commit capital at a little bit of a more advantage, but we'll have to see what happens moving forward. Looking for this BYND to move even lower before the open. That would be great, but we'll just have to wait and see in this somewhat skittish stock that seems to be moving all over the place. All right, so thanks for watching. You know, I did do this video once already, and I noticed at the very end that I had not pressed the record button, so that was kind of upsetting. I do have a bunch of stuff in the works, a big interview next week, and I have some more creative stuff going on with, I have gotten some more equipment, so you will see a more cinematic approach to video making from me in the near future. Thanks for watching the show today, folks, and let me know what's happening with your trades, and we can talk about it. Reach out to me on Twitter, reach out to me in the comments section here, and if you're in the Facebook groups, reach out to me there, and we can have a dialogue about your positions, because I'd much rather talk about your stuff than about mine. Thanks for watching today, and we'll root for Beyond Meat to go to 0 before the open today, and we will root for whatever positions you have on. Thanks for watching. See you soon.